Okay, so I feel like it's working. Greetings, you guys. I hope this video reaches you when you're in well and great standing with yourself. I am your host, Lucifer North Star, always known as Nicole Elizabeth. So we're just gonna go ahead and jump right into it because I made almost a 50-minute video and it did not record. You could barely hear my voice. It recorded, but it was a bunch of noise. I don't know what was going on. I just don't think they want me to get this message out here. Okay, but we're going to talk about this book right here. It's called The Nag Hammadi Library. All right, it's by James Robinson. Okay, I think, yeah, James Robinson. So we're going to talk about the Archons today, and I'm going to talk about how the Archons affect everybody's life. We see it being played out on the world stage right now. Even the Great Mother, yeah, she has a role to play in this as well. So I'm gonna attempt to talk about the stuff that I talked about before, but you know how you be on fire, you make a video, and then when it doesn't work, you try to get back the what you did. But let's just go. Okay, the Archons is what people call Satan and his demons. That's who it is. The Archons is the Archons are the reason why things are so crazy in the world today. And your chief demon in the Archons is Satan, which is the ruler of this world, which is the God of this world that you know of in the Bible as God, or what they call Allah and all that old other stuff. Okay, and in the Gnostic text, in the Nag Hammadi Library, they call him Yadaldabaoth, okay? And he is the reason why everything is so chaotic in this world. Now, before I go about to talking about it, Yadaldabaoth's mother, which is Sophia, which is wisdom, which is faith, this is her son. And we all know mothers who hide their sons' wrongdoings and they protect their sons at all costs. They cover their sons' tracks. You know this son ain't no good. So why didn't you just get rid of him to begin with? If you are the creatress of all things, why didn't you just get rid of him? So basically, Yadaldabaoth, which y'all know of as Satan, okay? Yadaldabaoth, he is the orchestrator of all of this. And these Archons really don't have power. They're really powerless. They're not as powerful as you think they are. They have more knowledge than you, but they're not that powerful because they have to use illusions and fear to even rule in this existence. And in this book, it's 3 chapters in this book that covers the issues, okay? And one of them is called The Apostasis of the Archons. Another one is called The Origin of the Soul, if I'm not mistaken. And another one is called The Exegesis or The Exegesis of the Soul. No, the other one, okay, let me start over. The Apostasis of the Archons on the Origin of the World is the second one I'm talking about. And the Exegesis of the Soul. And I could be pronouncing that wrong, but under the table of contents, you'll see it down here at the bottom. And that's the word that I'm talking about, okay? It's spelled Exegesis, okay? The Exegesis on the Soul. And these 3 books go into depth about the Archons and why things are the way they are in the world. And the other books in there is great for knowledge and self-development. But these 3 books in particular touch on why we're having problems in this world. So what Yadaldabaoth did, and this ties into the Bible when it talks about let us create man in our image and in our likeness. So what they did was he saw the reflection of, I'm just going to, give you the Reader's Digest version of it all, okay? He saw the reflection of his mother in the waters, right? In the abyss. And we all know abyss means the depth, okay? And he became, what's the word? He had admiration. I'm going to read the scripture that I'm talking about. Not even the scripture, but the part that I'm talking about in a minute. But he had admiration for his mother. He enamored her, is the word, enamored. And enamored means love of admiration. So he had admiration for the image that he saw. And immediately the love and admiration ended up turning into envy and jealousy. So he wanted to trap her because he wanted to become her. Okay, this whole men wanting to be women situation been going on for a long time, y'all. It's been happening since the beginning of this existence. Okay, and even the beginning of all this, to be honest. But so what he did was, him and the other Archons, what they did was create a man in the image of the woman. See, the Bible will teach you that women came from men's rib. That is not true. Men have nipples. Why? Because they're inverted breast. Okay? Men have a penis because it's an extroverted clitoris. All right? Don't be mad at me. That's just what it is. Women did not come from men. Men came from women. Okay, so he created this being in the image of her, but as a man, and so he gave it a soul, but couldn't make it animated. So the soul cannot. Let's talk about that real quick, because the soul cannot do anything. The soul cannot project an image here without having a spirit. What does the spirit do for the body? The spirit makes the body animated. Okay. People want to talk about being spiritual and spirituality. Spirit strictly means breath. It's breathing. That's what spirit means. Spirit means breath. And spirituality is the art and the practice of breathing. So don't let nobody fool you. If you are so projecting yourself into this image of an avatar, you are come here as spirituality. You are walking spirituality because you are breathing along with the blood and all the workings that make the body work. The spirit is the reason why the body is animated. Now, how do we know that the spirit does not, the soul cannot operate without the spirit? Well, the soul cannot project itself into the avatar, which y'all call a body, without spirit, because spirit is what makes the body animated. How do we know this? Let's look at this. When you're getting anesthesia, right? And the anesthesiologist cuts off your consciousness, okay? So, but they put a breathing tube in there to keep your body breathing just like it does when it's asleep, right? So they know how to do that part, but they don't know how to, make the body animated because they don't have spirit like that. Nonetheless, so basically what they do in surgery is they cut you off from your consciousness, okay? And they artificially make your body breathe. So that's how you know the soul is not in the body. And that's why I'm giving you this example of surgery, because what they do is they cut you off from your consciousness, okay? They automatically cut the cord of consciousness from your soul that's projecting into this avatar. Okay, that's the difference between a soul and a spirit. That's why when you wake up, you're groggy, you can't remember anything, and you have amnesia, because they cut off your conscious connection to your soul. The soul does not live in the body. The soul projects itself into the body. That's why when you expire, okay, they say that you gave up the ghost. That means the spirit left. You know what I'm saying? Your last breath. The body takes its last breath. It defecates, it urinates, all that stuff. But nonetheless, that's because what makes the body animated is leaving. So it's relaxed the body because there's nothing else in the body to make it animated. Your soul is not inside the body. It's outside of the body. It's projected into the body. Everybody doesn't have a soul either, but that's for another video. So they cut your consciousness off, okay? But anyhow, so he didn't know how to make the body animated. So, and I'm paraphrasing, you know what I'm saying? Basically, he was like, the hell with this. We're going to go on and do something else. So they went to do other wicked things. And the mother, the great mother, came and put the breath in the soul, because they tried to breathe in it and they couldn't make it. They have no knowledge of how to do that. They have no power when it comes to giving life. So she came and breathed into the body and gave it life. And they was like, how in the hell did you start walking? You know what I'm saying? He was like, the woman, again, I'm paraphrasing, you guys. The woman, she came, and I'm forever grateful to her because she gave me life. So they mad, and they look at her, and they like, we're going to get you. So basically, they tried to get her. She escaped by either making herself a tree or going into this tree, and they defiled the tree is what it says. So what I'm getting at is she left her essence behind. She took her essence, but she left a portion of it behind. So basically, they defiled this tree of knowledge, which the tree of knowledge is the feminine. So because they did these very nasty and heinous things to the image that she left behind, they then fell into a more fallen state and fell lower than what they are. This is why they're here under the dome with us. They cannot get out the dome, because if they could, they would have been gone, and they still be controlling this if they had that much power, but they do not have power. It's just like when a bully bullies you, they're really scared. That's why they bullying you. You know what I mean? They want to give the illusion that they all this and all that. But when you break the bully down, the bully because the bully really has no power. It's the illusion of power. It's fear. And that's how the Archons operate, is they operate through fear. So if they can make a soul, if they can make you fearful, if you are a soul, the NPCs is not really what they deal with, because the NPCs is their programming. But they can make you fearful if they can produce fear in you, then they can make you manifest. Since everybody likes this whole manifestation, y'all should understand what I'm talking about. They manifest what they want in fruition. How do they do that? They don't tell you what they don't tell you because of karma. I used to think that. But they tell you because they want you to manifest what they want to do. They use you to manifest. They use the souls to manifest, okay? But nonetheless, so these are the things that they did, or some of the things that they did, and which made them fall to a worse state, which it talks about that's your Anunnaki, your Draconian reptilians, your Greys, the insectoids, all them. They are the ones that hide underneath the earth or in the earth or they go underground because they cannot stand the atmosphere out here. They can't take the sun. Okay, it kills them, which is why they tamper with the weather as well. But these are the things that took place. And basically, if you read these 3 chapters in this book that I talked about, you have to ask the Great Mother, why didn't you get rid of him when you knew he was going to be a problem? Because the thing about it is she went off and created him. Okay? And his arrogance and cockiness, that's where you get the whole there will be no other gods before me situation. Because there is someone above him that lives in the 5th dimension. And see, she's not even the highest. Because I came in contact with 3 feminine energies, right? And they told me that it was a 4th one of them, but she went rogue. And it talks about that in that Erishkigal story, if any of you are familiar with it. And her sister was Isis, where her sister had to come down through these different realms or dimensions. But every time she hit a dimension, she had to unrobe herself of one of her powers to where she got down to this dimension and she had no power. So basically, she was about to die. Somebody ended up saving her, but it was crazy because of her jealous, envious sister who was Arishka Gal. Arishka Gal is the mother that I'm talking about. Love her dearly. But she is the reason why we're going through this because of her envy and jealousy of her other sisters. You know what I'm saying? So she went off and created something that she shouldn't have created. Okay. And it was an abomination. It wasn't right. You know, and that's why you have so many males that are jealous of females and they want to be females. Now you have females that want to be males, but I feel like the reason why they want is because they want that power of males and they don't want to suffer as feminine. They don't want to be the feminine and suffering, but they know they're women. A lot of them don't deny that, but they're the ones who really transition into being a male. I feel like it's out of insecurity, but don't come at me. I'm just observing the situation and going off of knowledge, okay? But nonetheless, we talking about males right now. So you get it. They call us cis women, and a lot of them disrespect us. Not all of them, but a lot of them do. And they still men. When you think about it, men, not all men, but the majority. We're not talking about men. We're talking about just regular males who try to be men, but really are not. They big kids in a body. They just like they daddy, your daughter, bro. God, Yahweh. And you always have these two brothers, the Inky and Enlil story. You have them in um different nations have different names for them, but it's always the two brothers fighting. What are they fighting over? They're fighting over resources. What is the most economical resource, if that makes any sense? It's the woman. Because without the woman, you cannot create other beings here. Okay? They need the womb so that they can have spirit and soul together. They use women to do their bidding. And a lot of us women don't realize that. And they even created an additional woman, which is the pick me, which is Eve. Y'all can say what y'all want to say. Y'all don't have to agree with me. That's fine. I know what I'm talking about. Okay? So, all this happened and they fell from grace, for lack of better terms. When it talks about, where he took a third of the angels with him and XYZ. That's why the woman is so demonized. She's called a beast and all this old other stuff because they, like I said, he enamored the image that he saw of the great mother, and so he created a being in their likeness, but after her image. Okay. So the Archons is the reason why you see so much buffoonery in the world today, on the world stage. Right now, what are we dealing with? We're dealing with Elon Musk, Donald Trump, all this old other foolishness. And then see, they don't know how to project themselves like souls project into the avatar. So the way they use avatars is really distorted because they do it out of illusion. And that's why they got rid of satellite TV, because you can start to see them breaking down on satellite TV. Now you may have some people that maybe still use satellite TV. I don't know. I haven't done that much digging to find out. But what I do know is how they project themselves is they create a false illusion, a false image over themselves. It's kind of like green screen when you think about it, okay? They create this false illusion that they're behind this illusion, So this is why you don't see them. They don't want you to know who they are. At one point, they used to walk amongst people, but I really can't say why they don't do that anymore. I don't know. The only thing I can think of is it's more profitable for them to hide behind the scenes. I don't know why, but they do it. So this is why you see, and see the great mother. If you're gonna call the Father God on his stuff, you gotta call Father Mother. You gotta call the mother goddess on her stuff too, because she covered over her son's BS. And instead of her getting rid of him, what she did was covered over the dome, threw them down here, cast them down here, covered over the dome, and now we all going through. We're all going through dealing with her. And there's so much more information I can share about this situation. I'm going to read a quick few little verses in here to kind of tell y'all what I'm talking about. But after that, if y'all want more information about this, let me know and I'll create another video and I'll do a live and I'll announce when I'm going to do the live. So I just won't be doing it randomly. I'll let you guys know when I'm going to do it. Now for my YouTubers that's watching this video or my YouTube audience, let me know down in the description, because I don't think I have enough playtime to do live videos yet. But let me know down in the description if you want a more in-depth video, and I will definitely give you that. This will be uploaded onto my YouTube channel, which used to be called the Master Headhunter, and then it went to the Bitter Truth. Now it is called Nikki's Observatory. So it will be uploaded to Nikki's Observatory. That's one of my channels. That's my main channel. I will upload it to that channel. So if you want to go over, you can. I might break this up in little, snippets and little, short videos to upload on Facebook to give you, little teasers of what I'm talking about. And I will put all my links and stuff like that, so y'all can see them. But I'm going to read. They call them the authorities of darkness. And I am reading out of this book right here, the Nag Hammadi Library, The Apostasies of the Archons. Okay, because they tell you you're not wrestling against flesh and blood. You're wrestling against the authorities of the universe and spirits of wickedness in high places. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so his thoughts became blind. This is the beginning of it, just to show you guys where we're at. This is where we're at. Okay, and so his thoughts became blind, and having expelled his power, that is the blasphemy he had spoken, he pursued it down to chaos and the abyss, his mother. Okay, at the instigation of Pistis, Sophia, which is faith and wisdom. And she established each of his offspring, which they talking about the Archons right now, in conformity with its power after the pattern of the realms that are above. For by starting from the invisible world, the visible world was invented. Bobby Hemmett talks about this. He's the only one that I've heard even touching on this type of stuff. A few people, of course, have come after him, but he was the closest one. But I have not heard anybody talking about this the way I'm talking about it. So follow it. As incorruptibility looked down into the regions of the waters, her image appeared in the waters. And the authorities of darkness, which is the Archons, became enamored of her. But they could not lay hold of that image, which had appeared to them in the waters, because of their weaknesses, since beings that merely possess a soul cannot lay hold of those that possess a spirit. That's why they're jealous of us, because we have both. Okay? For they were from below, while it was from above. Okay. This is the reason why incorruptibility looked down into the region, so that by the Father's will, she might bring the entirety into union with the light. The rulers, which are the Archons, okay, laid plans and said, come, let us create a man that will be soiled from the earth. They modeled their creature as one wholly of the earth. Now the rulers, which they talking about who are the Archons, took the body, and they have the female image with the face of the beast. They had taken some soil from the earth and modeled their man after the body and after the image of God, which is the feminine energy, okay, that had appeared to them in the waters. So they saw her reflection and became enamored of it. Then immediately they got jealous and envious, okay, and wanted to be her. Does not have the power that she contains. So they wanted to trap her up, which is why they made man from the soil. So they made a clay figure, but they didn't have the power to make it animated. So they said, come, let us lay hold of it by means of the form that we have modeled, so that it may see its male counterpart. Trying to trick her. And we may seize it with the form that we have modeled. Okay, trying to trap her in a body. Not understanding the force of God because of their powerlessness. They have no power. That's why they are the masters of illusions. They put up illusions that they have power, but they really are in fear. This is why they try to secure their existence through fear. Okay, and I talked about that earlier. And he breathed into his face, and the man came to have a soul and remained upon the ground many days. So basically, he tried to breathe life into him, but could not, because he does not possess the means to be able to create spirit. So the man was lifeless, just sitting there. Couldn't do nothing with him because he did not know how to create life. And you can only create life with a spirit. That's the only way that the soul will project itself into an avatar, which you guys call a body. You have to have spirit to make that work. Okay. Again, the body is not animated without spirit. Okay. So, but they could not make him arise because of their powerlessness. They have no power. They really don't. That's why, again, they use illusions and fear to keep you in fear so they can remain in power. Like storm winds, they persisted in blowing that they might try to capture that image which had appeared to them in the waters, and they did not know the identity of its power. They had no idea how it works, how to make it work. Okay. Uh, okay. Now, all these events came to pass by the will of the Father, which is your daughter broth, which is Satan, which is God. Enlil, Yahweh, all this good stuff. Okay. Well, really not good, but you know what I mean, the knowledge. Afterwards, the spirit saw the soul endowed man up on the ground. So she saw the man laying on the ground. And basically, she like, look what these idiots done. You know what I'm saying? Let me go ahead and play with their head. Let me mess with ego real quick. Let me do something real quick. And the spirit came forth from the adamantine land, and it descended and came to dwell within him, and that man became a living soul. Man was not always here. Okay. Female was, but man was not always here. So this is how man came to be. Your Anunnaki, your Archons, they did this. Okay. So she breathed life into him and made him become a living soul, which means he had a spirit that endowed the soul to even operate within the body. Okay. And his name, and it called his name Adam, since he was found moving upon the ground like a serpent, on the ground. Okay. A voice came forth from incorrupt, and it talks about that in the book of Genesis, where the serpent was made to move her. But see, they mix stuff up so you won't know the truth. And so you won't realize they the ones who are creating the lies and the illusions, okay? A voice came forth from the incorruptibility for the assistance of Adam, and the rulers gathered together all the animals on the earth and the birds of heaven that they brought to Adam to see what Adam would call them. Now, they didn't even know that he was moving about on the ground. They didn't know that because they had left him right there and they went off to do all kind of other sinister stuff and plans that they was going to do. So let me kind of shoot down so I can get to the point. Oh, let me see. Hold on. Okay. I'm gonna leave it alone for now. Like I said, if y'all want more, let me know, and I'll make another video and a live and go in more depth. But basically, it's letting you know that they could not. This God that y'all love so much, I mean, you're supposed to fear God and all this, they didn't have no knowledge. Absentee landlord is what he is. And these rulers, these archons, these rulers of darkness are the reason why we all are going through so much hell in the hells of the world. Okay? Because they playing games. They playing games with you because the NPCs, the fillers, you know what I mean? The programs, they really don't matter. They just there to make everything run smooth. So the experience appear like it's more real to the soul. But they operate off of souls because, again, the soul is not in the body. And I gave you a good example of how you know the soul is not in the body because surgery is a prime example. They cut off your consciousness. So basically, what happens is the soul projects itself into the avatar. The movie Avatar even told you that. Okay. They make so many movies telling you, but people don't pay attention because you're too busy being entertained by what you see and you're fascinated with the masters of illusions. Okay. So they use the soul's energy. They harvest it, is what they do by creating situations. And so they tell us, what they're doing because they haven't done it yet. They want you as a soul, if you have one, they want you to manifest their desires here on this plane of existence. Because again, they are powerless. They are powerless. They have no power. And I'm going to say this again. I have to keep driving the point. They rule off of illusions and fear. They've been doing it since the beginning. They're still doing it today. Still doing it today. Okay. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it. But what you can do is you can go to Home Depot, you can purchase a ladder, and you can get over it. I'm not here to convince you. I'm just putting the information out there. If this resonates with you, it will. If it doesn't, it won't. If it don't apply, let it fly, right? But that's what it is. So I'm going to end that on this note. And again, if you have questions, leave them down below in the comment section. If this is on Facebook, let me know. And again, I'll make a more in-depth video about this. So do your research, y'all. If you are interested, grab this book. It's called The Nag Hammadi Library. This is not the only book, but this is a really good start for you. I don't know. I found this book probably about maybe 17 years ago at a half-price bookstore. And I know you can buy this book online. I only bought this book for like $10 at half-price bookstore. But I know you can get the book at Amazon. So if I go on and find a link, I'll put it on there so you can go right to it, okay, if you're interested in buying the book. But it is a good start for you so that you can understand the type of situation, the type of simulation and holographic illusions that we're living in right now. This book also is really good to help you develop your soul. I remember one thing that Bobby Hemmett said was, he who knows one book knows none. So you can't just take one book for face value and demonize the rest of them, because you will be lost and you won't have the knowledge that you necessarily need, which is why they have created religions so they can control you. So you have the esoteric and you have the exoteric. The esoteric is what they give to the public. That's what they give to the masses of people. Okay. That's your religions. Okay. Which I believe Christianity, the opposite of that is Gnosticism. You have Islam. The opposite of that is Sufism. I can't think of the other one, but the equivalent to that would be Hinduism, if I'm not mistaken. But they give you the bullshit knowledge, and the priests they keep the exoteric for themselves. Okay, and that's exoteric. They give you the esoteric. That's how they rule over you. Okay, by giving you surface knowledge. This has been going on even back in what y'all call Egypt, Kemet. It was going on even back then. While we want to reverence all that, it was even going on back then. Back then, Sumerian civilization, Mesopotamia, even in America, Africa, all them places. And to be honest, in all these different spiritual systems, as they call it, or religions, that make you pay homage. You know what I mean? Or you have to have an altar in certain ones, and you have to do this for that and blah. You don't have to do any of that, to be honest, because you are the altar. You are the living altar. If you are a soul, that's the big difference. You are projecting yourself into this image. So if you need anything, whether it be guidance, information, if you want to know how to tap into yourself to manifest the best life that you can possibly live and become the greatest version of yourself, all you have to do is tap in to your soul. All you have to do is tap into what's projecting this image into this avatar. Make it happen, champ. Get it done. We're going to start with elementary stuff because belief is for children. Okay? So believe in yourself. Then once you believe in yourself and you start practicing that, you'll know yourself. You don't need belief anymore. You can drop it just like training wheels on a bike. Once you know who you are, you don't need to have faith in self. Faith is for the weak. Belief is for children. Okay? So that means if you don't know yourself, you can't trust yourself, right? So you have to have faith and belief in the beginning. Even if you're an adult, you know what I mean? You can still be childlike. So you have to have faith and belief in yourself in the beginning. Once you know what you're capable of, once you know who you are, you drop them like training wheels and you go from there. Know thyself. It's so important to know who you are. You got to know if you are a NPC, which is a filler person, background person, or you need to know if you are a soul projecting into this image called an avatar. Okay. So I'm going to end that on that note. Again, I will put all of my links down below. And I will continue this discussion. So with that being said, much love later, and I will see you guys on my next.